Welcome to another Starbase UGC tutorial. I'm Bazag, and today we'll be looking at puzzles. Puzzles are a non-combat challenge that the player has to overcome before they can progress in the mission. There are many different ways you can create a puzzle, and I'll show you just some of them today. If as a Foundry author you decide to include a puzzle in your mission, as not all Foundry missions need them, you can use some of these tips and tricks that I show you today to add one to your own. So before me I've created a puzzle, a type I call an interact puzzle. So let's approach and we'll see how it goes. Okay, as you can see we've got these different options before us. We can scan by positron bombardment, we can scan the artifact with a tachyon pulse, let's try using a photonic tricorder, or use neutralogenic particles to scan. Yes, so as our goal here is to scan the object before us. So let's talk with the physical sciences researcher first and see if she has any suggestions. Alright, so we can suggest using tachyons. Well, do you reckon we should? No, well, I'll scan by positron bombardment because I'm a ninja. Yes, that didn't quite work. So maybe we should follow her suggestion and scan with a tachyon pulse. And there we go, we were able to successfully scan the object. Any data was collected, has been collected. This type of puzzle is mostly useful for when there's situations that have multiple potential solutions, but only one is right, and and even if you try others, then that won't affect the potential outcome of the first. So let's return to the editor and see how this was accomplished. Okay, so as you can see we've got our puzzle map here with the spawn point, the alien artifact, physical sciences researcher, invisible objects, and our explosions. Let's go and actually have a look at the story tab for a bit. Our objective is fairly simple: to interact with the object, and it's just one simple object, and with the correct interact text added and the animations and duration set. So, but what about the other interact triggers that were available, and why did an explosion go off? Well, let's have a look at the of the explosion. Okay, as you can see we've got some component complete state changes here. So these explosions go visible when these components are completed. So that's visible object 10 foot number 2, visible object 10 foot number 3, and obviously number 4. So let's have a look at these invisible objects that we used. Let's send triggers. So here we are. So we've got the scan with nucleogenic particles, scan by positron bombardment, or scan with a photonic tricorder. So each of those has set up a trigger to give us our false options. But as we noticed before, what about the objects themselves? They went away. So let's have a look at this state change to see how I did this. As you notice here in the state changes, we've got the object set to appear, the invisible object set to appear when the objective is in progress, which is currently the successfully scan the artifact. And if we scroll down a bit, we'll see that when the objective is complete, the same objective, that is the successfully scan the artifacts, then it goes away. So while these invisible objects are on the map only during the objective, then they will be allowed to be triggered, and as a result cause false explosions and give our false readings. So that's basically all the interact puzzle is about, using triggers to create false options. Okay, another thing we can also do is using the same method is shift our invisible objects around we can use. Why would we want to do this? Well, if we wanted to create a scavenger hunt where we needed to find one specific object, but there were false objects or things that might work that wouldn't be able to actually work, but that might work but don't around. So if we were able to put these, and if we were to switch here our waypoints from automatic to none, then the player would have to go searching around for the correct object, not only finding these false objects in the process. So let's move on to our next puzzle. And here we are on the same map, but with a different puzzle. This type of puzzle I call the quiz because it's you have to give the right answers to a prompt that a person gives you. So let's talk to this physical sciences researcher. So you basically use the format of a quiz for this one. So here we go. Which of the following particles travels backwards in time? I happen to know this one, and it's the antichronoton. Which phenomenon was used as a weapon of mass destruction against the Talaxians? Megaparticle explosion, metron cascade, tachyon resonance, or tricobalt device? I'm gonna guess a tachyon resonance. Tachyon emissions are used to ... contain warp plasma, detects cloak ships as a communication signal to initiate time travel. I'm pretty sure it's to detect cloak ships. Oh no, we failed. Okay, so let's try again. I think I found the answer to the Talaxian one. So we'll do antichronoton again, and the answer is the metron cascade. And detect cloak ships, and there we go, we've passed. So let's this is a very simple puzzle, so let's just return to the editor and see what happened. Okay, so once again we'll turn to the story, and this one is a simple talk to the contact, where the puzzle is the dialogue in that. And so if we so let's go and have a look in the editor. Okay, so here's the right dialogue. Which of the following particles travel backwards in time? Yep, that's the first question we go. So let's go and have a look at this button number 1, which is tachyon. Okay, so we've got a dialogue prompt here. This is what I call the fail tree. Once you start a question off and you get an answer wrong, you get shunted over to the fail tree. Every response, even if it happens to be the correct one, is wrong because you've already made a mistake earlier. So let's shift over here, and so we can see how to this other successful branch to see what happens if you happen to get an answer right. Okay, so here's the antichronoton answer to the first question, and we get past to the next level, which is the Talaxians. First thing you'll notice is that both these dialog boxes in the successful tree and in the failure tree are exactly the same buttons in each. That's to help prevent any visual differences between the two. But let's say if we get the tachyon resonance wrong, like we did, we get shunted. Follow this line all the way over to the fail tree. So we skip from getting the successful answer to a failed answer, and so the final result is an angry saying we failed. But if we continue getting the questions right, we successfully complete the mission, complete the dialogue tree. As you notice, if we get the wrong, we fail the tree and we don't pass the test. So that's all it is. It's pretty much setting up these two success and failure branches of the same dialogue tree, and making sure that only the correct answers provide success. if you answer correctly for every single question. And this is the easiest way to do it. So let's move on to our third puzzle for today. So here we are on our third puzzle. This type of puzzle that we're about to do is called a procedural puzzle. The procedural puzzle is most used in where you've got a procedure that you have to follow, or otherwise it won't work. So let's talk to the physical sciences researcher and see how this goes. Alright, so our goal here is to gain access to whatever is inside this artifact. So we can open an access panel, deactivate security, or disrupt internal power supply. Well, let's try and open access the panel. Okay, the defense system. It hit me. Alright, so, well, obviously that was a failure of an option because we forgot to disable the security system. So let's try and deactivate the security. And now we've got a new option. We can open the access panel, try and deactivate the power supply or scan the power supply. So let's try and deactivate the power supply. Oh, we're unable to deactivate this power supply as we can't get access to it. Whoops. Let's try again. So we'll deactivate security, open access panel, and now we've got this final level. We can scan the power supply, deactivate the power supply, or interface with artifact systems. I'll interface with the artifact systems. Okay, and there we go. We've been able to successfully complete this mission. Let's return back to the editor and see how I did it. Once again, the objective is a simple talk to contact objective. So let's go and have a look at the editor. So unlike the dialogue for the quiz, this is a very different structure. Only the successful answers continue on. So each wrong answer ends in the failure. So our first level question, so as you can see, our first level things of open access panel and disrupt internal power supply fail. And when we move on to the next, deactivate power supply and scan power supply fail, while open access panel continues on. So and finally our third, scan power supply and deactivates power supply fail, while only interface with the artifact systems. This is perhaps the most simplest of dialogue puzzles that you can do. And anyway, so that pretty much ends this tutorial for now. I hope this has been a help, and this is Bazag for Starbase UGC.